Okay, folks, you asked for it. More joint breaks. What is wrong with you guys? Have you not been listening to anything? Why are you guys so fascinated by all the destruction? I get it. Listen, this is heavily requested, and we're going to be doing the knee today. The knee is a really unique joint. Really can't take a lot of pressure. There's 6 different ways that you can break the joint. We're going to go over a couple of them today. But I'm going to show you, real life stuff. And let's start off with some images here. So get ready. Again, we go back to the sports injury world. The reason we go to sports injury is because these are forces that you and I can replicate. What do I mean by that? It's, again, it's humans colliding with humans, humans colliding with the planet. And those are forces that you and I can replicate. And that's why studying sports injury data is very useful. Now, what you're seeing here is a variety of different ways they've gone after this. This is an NFL. Let's see. Nope. God, I got the screen. Okay, right up there. That's the NFL one. You can see the guy. It's looking to me like it's a base 5 break, meaning outside to in. Pay attention to that. You're going to be seeing it later on. We're going to show another aspect of that in one of the other clips. Here is the rugby one. This is brutal. I mean, just brutal. In fact, I'm going to be showing an Australian rules one a little bit later, full speed, so you get to see this. But again, this is, it going in extension, he's just basically flamingoing out the knee there. And then here is in soccer, you really can't see what happened here, but basically a guy did a sliding tackle into him, just tweaked his knee. I mean, you can just see this knee is going the exact wrong way, okay? That is what we're trying to replicate, guys. This is what we're looking for when we're looking for a broken joint, okay? It will not be able to support structure. All right, so I'm going to go into, first, it's the MMA. This is really one of the only good MMA ones I could find. I'm going to have to slow it down for you a couple of times. I don't have any audio on this. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. They do a couple of roll throughs. What I want you to show is a couple of times they do some rolls and some throws and everything's fine. And then it goes horribly wrong. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, they're just going back and forth here. Okay. There's one takedown. No problem with that one. Okay. Getting back up. Doing a little more of the dance here. Back and forth, back and forth. All right. Now here's another one, and we're fine. And now this is where it all goes wrong. Coming in, clinching him. He's going to take him down here. Boom. Got the knee. Okay, you probably didn't see that. Went a little fast for you, so I'm going to slow it down. Let's go. This is my high-speed slow-mo here. I promise you guys, I'll get better with the effects. Okay, so he's coming in. Boom, he clinches him. He's going to take him down. No problem. The only problem is, as he's going down, look what happens. Right there, his foot gets trapped on the inside. Okay, so the inside of his instep gets trapped as his body's in motion, getting slammed into the ground. So what happens? It rips it out from a twist. Okay, there's 3 different ways you can go after a joint. We'll talk more about that in the close. But this time what happens is the inside of his foot gets trapped, thrown down, and it literally rips the knee out of joint here. So let's see it again. Boom. You saw that. See right here, right there. That's it. It's all his body weight right there. Do you see it? The leg is going, you can't really see it, but the toes are going this way, and it should not happen. And now the rest of his body just slams down and rips out all of that connective tissue. Boom. And you can see, if you look at this, if you look at his knee right there, right here at the end, if you look at the knee, you can tell the patella is all screwed up, stuff's going around, the bone's moving around. That whole lower leg is done. Okay, so that's the MMA. Now we're going to go to the first NFL, and these are short clips. Okay, no audio on this one. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it again. So this one's a quick one, and I'll slow it down. Coming in. Boom. Okay, now he goes back around, gets trapped. Boom. Look at that. Flamingos it right out. Okay. This is, again, in It's similar to like a knee stomp, a front knee stomp. There, I'm going to slow it right there. You see that? That's what happened. See, his foot got trapped in the tackle, and then he just went right over all his body weight went right over and literally flamingoed out the knee, meaning bent backwards. If you know a flamingo, how flamingos stand, it's kind of the opposite way that our knees operate. And that's exactly what happened there. Now, this was a super serious, this is with Napoleon McCallum. And this was a very serious injury. I mean, he almost died from this. They had to get him into the hospital right away. It was, at first people thought it was just a broken leg, but the damage done to the cartilage and the arteries and everything in his knee and the nerve damage was substantial. He was very lucky to be able to recover from this. All right, so that's the NFL. Here's another NFL, okay, from another angle. Very quick. Just blows the side of the knee out. Just devastating. Okay, so again, now there's some things I want you guys to notice so far. Have you noticed that every one of these, look at that. Look at his knee right there. The human body just is not made to go that way. Boom, right there. That's where it's at. Okay, so I'm going to do this next one from the Australian rules football. Before I show this, though, what have we noticed so far? You've noticed complete body weight. Either body weight, having your own body weight thrown on the planet and it goes the wrong way and breaks your joint, or it is another human being throwing all of their body weight through that area. Okay, not hitting it and pulling back, none of the little touchy stuff or the static strikes that you see. Full commitment that it takes to do this. You're going to really see it here. All right. Boom. It's just devastating. Okay. Now I'm going to slow this down. They'll show another angle, but I'm going to go back and show it to you again because there's a couple things I want you to see here. Okay. And then you got them from there. Just devastating. Okay. So we'll back it up a little bit. What I want you to see is look at this guy. He's going for the tackle. So he's going for the ball. Both of them are going for the ball. That's the whole focus. This guy is going to grab the ball and look, he's going to extend his body out. Look at this. But that's just the collision right here. This is just the collision. Watch the follow through. See where his hands are. Boom. Right through the knee. That's what I'm talking about with body weight all the way through on a strike and why it's so important. There's some concepts that people are asking me about, and you guys are missing why I'm talking about things like go toe to toe first. You're misunderstanding why I'm having people go toe to toe. That's where you want to launch. When we show people how to do this particular strike, we use our shoulders to take out knees. This is exactly how we show it. I mean, not full speed, but this is exactly what we show about how far your body weight has to transfer to do the damage, to get the injury. Incredibly important. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to break a rule of mine by showing you something from Hollywood. I rarely do this. There's no sound to this. I don't think I did sound on that. No sound on this. I just want you to watch it. It's a club scene from a movie called Collateral from Tom Cruise. Now listen, regardless of what you think of Tom Cruise, he's a hell of an actor, and whoever instructed him on the fight scenes in here did a hell of a job. There's some really, really good injury data, very realistic stuff, very little goofy stuff on this. There's a knee break that you're going to see in this. It's a side knee break. He takes out one of the security guys. And I'm going to point out a couple of things here. I'm going to let it play, and then I'm going to go back and go slow on it and point out a couple of things on it. But again, I rarely use anything from media because oftentimes it's just ridiculous. But this actually was probably one of the better ones I've seen. So let's see it. Okay, he's walking through and he's looking for, the thing is he's looking for a mark. There are a bunch of bodyguards in the way, and he has to kind of systematically take them out in the club. Okay. It's going right up, sees the guy, boom, and it's down. Okay, so that was pretty quick. And you're saying, Tim, what's the big deal? I'll show you the big deal. It's the way he does it. It's his performance of this. It's where his body weight is. Okay, what I want you to see is, okay, we're going to go real slow here. And again, okay, he looks over. He just recognizes He doesn't know it's a threat. And then I know it's hard to see, but look where he steps. Look how close he is to the knee, and look at the follow through. Now you could even be closer there, but that is an excellent rendition of how to take out a knee from the side. It's a base 5 strike. And what I mean by base 5 is just you're just hitting from the outside in to the knee and blowing the knee out that way. But it was really, really good the way he did it. And see how the guy goes to the ground? And that's exactly what happens. You know, the joint absolutely collapses. The connective tissue can no longer support. And he literally falls on top of his femur. That's what he does. So again, one of the few good renditions from Hollywood. So Hollywood once in a while does something worthwhile. Who'd know? Especially in this day and age, man. I can't even believe I gave Hollywood any credit with those knuckleheads. But I digress. All right. So now what I want to do is I just want to give you a couple of minutes of how we take one aspect of a joint break and train it. Okay. And we're showing a knee stomp from the front. Basically, what you saw, when you flamingo, I talked to a couple of the first couple ones we saw. I talked about, how the knee can flamingo. Okay. So now we're showing people how you train to do this. And you can listen to the instructor talk on how he does it. I'm going to stop it at a couple places to point some things out. All right. It's about a 2-minute clip.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and look at breaking the knee with base leverage 1, which is going to be just hyperextension. So what we want is a classic NFL injury where we fold the knee backwards 90 degrees, make the guy sit down like a bird. The way you're already familiar with is that stomp through the knee, and it's a joint break. That's why we have to have that prior injury we always talk about. And the idea here with that stomp, we're just folding the knee backwards to make him sit down, that extra, getting that wrong.
Okay, so this is part of a series that we did, and there was prior information on how to do this. What you probably didn't understand, did you see how, I'll do it slow here. Did you see how Michael lifted his foot up first? Watch how he does this. He comes in, Michael lifts his foot up. What he does by that is he's actually able to, replicate what it looks like to go down, protect his joint, so Chris can come all the way down with his body weight and do a full stomp. It's the best way you can model what you actually want to do at full speed. And it's also a way to be safe because, again, the integrity of the knee is already questionable. And even light striking like this can do damage to connective tissue. So that's what he's showing with, how he comes down. I just want to make sure that you understand why he's lifting his foot up. He's almost doing a pistol, a one-legged squat on the way down as he slaps out. But again, this is how we train it. So I'm going to go ahead and start up again, let you watch the rest of it.
Folding the knee backwards to make him sit down, that extra, getting that wrong 90 out of the knee here, that is essentially a base leverage 1 break. Now, what we're going to do though is we're going to look at executing that manually. So let's say for whatever reason I got my prior injury and we've ended up in this position here and I want to affect that same base leverage 1 break in the knee. Very simple. I'm going to reach down and get a hold of the leg. I'm going to pick that leg up. I'm going to go ahead and get my shin in position just above the kneecap. So I want to make sure that I'm on the thigh side of the knee joint proper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive my body weight forward and down. So this knee then, my shin is going to go in this direction right here. And at the same time, I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to lean them back and pull with my body weight to get the foot to go in the opposite direction. So when we put both of those together, we get the break right here. So a couple things that we want to pay attention to here. Number one is hanging onto this with fists. So I don't want to kind of have this in a loose grip like this because what's going to happen is it's going to pop right out of my hand when I apply that leverage. And the other thing I want to know is that wherever the toes are pointing, in general, the knee is going to be pointing the same direction. So if I have these toes pointed here and I step.
So you remember earlier that we had the MMA break and I told you that the guy's foot hit and the toes pointed the other way. Well, that pointed his knee outward, and that's how when all the body weight came in, it just slammed out. So that's what Chris is talking about. He's saying, hey, in order to do the injury, we want to make sure that we are arranging the toes in a way that we get the break. So that's all that's going on here that he's talking about. And just understand what he means. He means we got a prior injury, knocked the guy to the ground. He's on the ground, but we want to make sure that he's hobbled. We want to make sure that he can't get up. We're probably dealing with a multi-man situation, or we just want to make sure that this guy is no longer a threat to us. And so he's saying to put a base 1 on from the ground, he's giving you this information. So again, I want you to know there's a lot of detail to this, and that's why I only, in the time we have here, I could only pick one base leverage, and I thought this was the most relevant to what I was showing today.
and I go, yeah, and I break that leg. Well, I didn't break the leg because that's the direction it bends, because I had the toes pointed the wrong way. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I roll this over, however I have to get it rolled over, whether it's my forearm on the foot or whatever action you use, so that his knee is pointed back at me this way, because now I can get my shin up on the top of that patella there. And then again, the next thing I want to think about is I want to actually preload this by driving forward to get it at the pathological limit. And what I mean by that is, if I stop at the vertical here and then I try to pull this to get that break, you can see all this extra slop we have. And what I want to do is I want to preset this. Right now it's at the pathological limit, but I've got a bunch of follow through in both directions, so I know that I can get that break.
Okay. So a couple of things. You heard Chris talk about prior injury, and you're saying, Tim, all those sports injuries, they didn't have prior injury. Why do I need prior injury? You need prior injury for a couple of reasons. One, focus. Notice that even in the movie sequence, the focus was not on the individual, like the one-on-one confrontation. What we're assuming is when you're in it with somebody and you have not broken a joint, that you want to get prior injury so that you can get the body to release. And it's much easier to break the joints and rip and tear the connective tissue. That's why we talk about prior injury when it comes to using it in a violence setting. Now, people are standing on your knees, you're standing on your ankles. Is it possible for you to break these areas without prior injury? Yes, it is possible. What does it require? Full body weight commitment. You saw how Chris was talking about how you had to really load everything up and make sure you pulled and you got that break on the ground. It takes real work to get this done. Now, it can get done. It's very easy to do once you understand that, once you commit to it. But it's something that you really have to want to do to somebody. And again, this is the threshold for violence. This is not something you screw around with. But if you need it, you need specific information like we just gave you. Okay, that's my big point. People just said, just kick the knee and you do this. What are you talking about? Have they told you anything about the integrity of the knee joint? Have they told you how it turns, how to lock it out, how to ensure that you rip and tear the connective tissue? Do you know the range of motions for each one of those 6 areas? That's the information that you get. The clip that I showed you is from one of our series called Blueprints of Destruction. And if you're a geek and you really like to geek out on this stuff, we go in depth on everything. Again, people have been asking, I just want to know. The reason I showed it is because a lot of times people say, well, how do you train something like that and still, keep the integrity of each other's knees? And I just wanted to share that with you. So listen, the knee is, again, it's one of those compromised joints in the human body. Somebody was saying one time that they read somewhere that ancestrally, that our knees were only supposed to last 35 years because they figure if we hadn't procreated and done anything in 35 years, we were worthless. He was kind of being flip about it, but actually that's pretty true. It's a compromised joint, meaning it does a lot of things okay, but it doesn't really do a lot of stuff well, just from the design of it. So it's a very vulnerable area. And oftentimes, even when you try to go after the ankle, sometimes when you go after the ankle, you'll actually rip out the knee, which is really interesting. The knee will give before the ankle will. But again, these are all little things that you get when you get into training. So this is the side, I spend a lot of time telling you how to avoid the avoidable and do all this stuff. But I do want you to understand that if you need this information, you need specific information. And you can't, willy-nilly. You got to know how to rip and tear this stuff out of a human being if you want to survive. And that's just the juxtaposition of stuff. I like to live a life where, I minimize the chance of ever having to use this, but I practice every time I get on the mat like I'm going to use it tomorrow. It's just the way you have to be. And that allows you to relax because you've already trained. So again, I just want to give you a little more instruction on the joint breaks. Please keep making your comments. Please share this channel. YouTube's kind of screwing with us a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. But I could use your help. So if there's anybody in your life you think would get some information out of this, please share it. Please subscribe, hit the notification buttons, all those good things. And thanks so much for all your help.